My name is Dr. Ray, and I'm here to tell you about our podcast, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas. We are here to have the tough and difficult conversation about being labeled special ed or have some form of a disability. My name again is Dr. Raylyn White.
And I am Keita A. Pratt. Be sure to tune in to us every first and third Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
We can be found on Clubhouse as of now, but please stay tuned to our social media pages, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas.
Heritage Academy in San Antonio is now open for student registration. Our mission at Heritage Academy is to not only prepare students to succeed at college, but to instill values and knowledge, to educate the whole person, and to balance intellectual development with purposeful moral guidance. Smaller classes, personal attention, focusing on teaching life values. We're eager to welcome new students this fall. Register your student today at heritageacademy.net.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Dr. Ray. Hello.
Oh my
God. We are here for the 6th episode in our second season. Oh my goodness. We are going strong on this season. We have had some amazing guests. I mean, it has been amazing so far this year. And I'm so grateful to just be here in your presence today, Dr. Ray. I pray all is well with you on today. How are you?
Awesome. Just enjoying this time, the Christmas spirit, and just being able to not only receive, but to give, and just sharing that time. I just love going to work, seeing my little precious children in their Christmas outfits. And so it's just a good time to be alive, and but count down for a new year.
Yes, I'm definitely in agreement with countdown to the new year. So pretty much. So everyone, thank you for joining our second season, our 6th episode, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas. I am one of your co-hosts, Keita A. Pratt. I am a dyslexic, and my goal is to encourage, motivate, and inspire you to get to your greater good, to give you the information that you need to get from good to great, to unlocking your greatness. I am here to be an example and pretty much to normalize your process so that you see me and you know that you are able and you are capable. So that is what I am called to do. So Dr. Ray, I'll let you go ahead and move into, all about who you are.
All right. I am Dr. Ray. I am an educator, a mother of a son who is dyslexic and has been working in the field of education for many moons and Sundays. That's all. I'm going to leave it right there. But my goal is to help students become the best versions of themselves, or who they would like to be, and to make sure that we are reaching and teaching as many as possible. I also help parents walk through the process of helping their kids getting the service that they need, the accommodations that they need in order for them to be an example to their students and be an advocate for their child. So I'm so excited about our guest on today.
Yes, I am excited about our guest too, because I'm pretty sure he can have so much in common with Ethan and just everything that far as the whole space of being, having a mother that's in education. But as we move right into it, I hope everyone is sharing the broadcast on this evening as we move forward to introduce our guests on today, which I'm excited about too. So pretty much today, who we have on our platform, his name is John Nurse. Today, we would like to welcome John Nurse to our platform, who is a dyslexic overcomer. He has used his strengths to build a life and career, which has allowed him to break the stigma. Oh my God, to break the stigma of dyslexia. John has been an entrepreneur since he was of the age of 19. Amazing. He has worked with companies as such Atlantic Records, BET, Sony Music Entertainment, he hosts also a podcast called Step Kids on SoundCloud. And John also has his own company called live affairs, and he'll correct me once he joined the platform, but I want to welcome him onto the platform on today as he tell us his amazing story. Hello, John. Hi, welcome
Hi,
to
how y'all doing?
Hi. So how are you doing today?
I'm tired. It's been a long day, but I'm here. Very tired.
Awesome. Well, we are so pleased to have you here today. We are so excited about getting into the conversation. And so moving right along, we don't want to keep you as long, but we definitely want to have our true and authentic conversation with you. So
For
at the
sure.
beginning of the year in all right. So at the beginning of the year in January, you opened up a discussion with dyslexia, and it was the first time you had the conversation publicly about you coming out of being dyslexic. What made you want to open up the discussion on your dyslexic journey as we move into the conversation?
Well, it's always been something that's on my mind. I just never really done it. I always been busy doing other things. I'm like, I wonder, because a lot of people will find out I'm dyslexic throughout years of knowing me and be like, really? And nobody ever knew that about me. I don't speak about it at all, really outside of my family. Unless my mother put me down in front of like somebody who was helping me at the time, I don't speak about it. I feel like people would always judge you based on that if they thought that was that's one of the first things they ever heard of you. So I always kept it to myself. But as I got older and I come into my career, I'm like, you can't really judge me on anything at this point. Like, what? So, there's plenty of people out there like me. So I'm like, you know what? When I saw a friend of mine post up the discussion they want to have, I reached out to her.
Wow. Oh my. So you reached out because you were ready to have the conversation.
Yeah, well, I mean, she posted that she's working on another podcast and they want to have a discussion with somebody who was dyslexic if they knew anybody, and I saw it, so I was like, I reached out, I was like, you know what? If anything, this is an opportunity that just kind of fell in my lap. Like, I know the person, I'm dyslexic, I mean, I'm at a point in my career where people definitely take notice, so I'm like, why not?
Wow.
So, space and opportunity, right?
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Ray?
Are you still on mute?
Unmute. When did you find out that you were dyslexic?
My mother found out when I was in 4th grade, transitioning into 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So around that time, she got me tested at Sony, whatever you call it, Sony. And they told her that I was dyslexic. My brother's dyslexic too.
Mm-hmm.
So he's more dyslexic than I am. But they told him that we're both dyslexic around that time. Like around that time, like when I was in like elementary school, I got decent grades. But around that time, like that 4th grade, 5th grade, she knows a slip. You know what I mean? And, to start paying more attention. And she learned, they all started realizing certain things like, okay, not only does he not stay awake in class, but, they thought I was just bored for some other reasons, which I was, but wasn't bored because I was just bored. I'm bored because I don't know what's happening.
Awesome. So you and your brother, how many years apart are you and your brother?
3.
3.
3, yeah.
So he was older.
He's older, yeah.
Okay. Well, I like I said in the beginning, my son is dyslexic as well. He was diagnosed at a young age because I knew something was wrong. But I just think that's amazing how your mom, so she went outside of the school in order to get you tested.
Yeah, well, the school mentioned something like, oh, well, I was never good at spelling, but like my spelling tests, I was always failing those. My B's and D's, if I was reading out loud, I guess the teacher must have noticed something was off. A little bit, so like, oh, you might want to get him tested, or I think she would get my brother tested, and she decided to get me tested as well. She could speak better on that than I can. But they found out that we were both dyslexic.
All right. That's awesome. And I know you also said that your brother is worse off than you. But because it's on the spectrum now, it's why it's hard to really just pinpoint the difference, because you have to, there's so many different forms now with dyscalcular, dysgraphic, and because of all that falls under dyslexic. So there are so many different like subsets of being dyslexic. It's on the spectrum, and with all of the research that's out there now, it's just hard to understand the true cause of it, because they saying that some at the beginning they were saying it was genetic. So now not only is it genetic, it's neurological. So there's so many different aspects and facets that go with it. That's one reason why I love just continuing to do my research on it to understand it. But what is yours? Do you know, it's like, is it just numbers? Is it letters and numbers? Or do you have a particular, I don't want to say weakness?
Mine is more so gauged towards like reading and letters. I'm not bad with numbers. I'm not a calculator like I always, but that's just come with practice and everything like that, I assume.
Well, no, but dyscalcular means that it's with numbers and not with letters. So they've realized that it's not just letters that you can be dyslexic with. It's also with numbers. And if it's only numbers, then it's called dyscalcular.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have any issues with numbers. I mean, nobody mentioned anything to me. So, yeah, I'm pretty fine with numbers.
It's just that, but even with handwriting, it's like I say, it's so many different aspects of it now that it's not just letters, and so they've broadened the definition. Like I said, it's on a spectrum now. It's not just this one thing that they write the letters backwards and see letters backwards. There's so many different aspects to it now. And like I said, it's also labeled known as being neurological as well. So not only is it genetic, neurological, and it's such a process that it is so wide. And that's, I was just sorry.
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
my science
we all try to hone in on it. Cause like my mother, when she first found out that we both dyslexic, she's like, "Where did this come from?" Because she's like, "I'm not dyslexic," and my father, like, he's around, like they're still married, we know him, so they're like,
but no, it's carried on the X chromosome. So either your mom's a carrier. If she doesn't have it, then she's a carrier.
Okay, no, if that's the case, nobody knows. Yeah,
but
nobody.
It's so widespread now that they're not just saying that it could be genetic. So, but back in the way back in the day, they would say that was the only way you can get it is through genetics.
Right.
So that's why more guys are dyslexic than girls, because it has to be on both chromosomes in order for the girls to manifest it.
Okay. Well, now I learned something new today. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have Dr. Ray. She had, this is what she specialized in. She specialized in, yeah, so she knows. So yeah,
my mom didn't go that into detail when she found out.
Yeah,
she just let me know.
It's and it, even for me, I was like, wait a minute, am I dyslexic? But how I knew that I was a carrier, because one son has it and the other one doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if both sons, then so it's just genetics. You just never know. And I mean, I love genetics, but we're gonna leave that alone. But it's a neurological problem as well. And so it's so many different facets that it comes from. It's just not, you can't just put it, you can't bunch everyone in one container and say that they're dyslexic anymore. Because of research, they have, like I say, the different ones, the dyscalculia, the dysgraphia, So it's so many dys now. They go, because if it
What's
start with a dys,
dysgraphia?
that's with handwriting.
Oh, okay.
That's with handwriting. So that's why I was saying there's so many different facets of it right now that you I can talk for days. I'm gonna be quiet. It's about you.
I should find out. So my handwriting's atrocious. I should see, look into that too.
Huh?
Oh my
So
goodness.
my handwriting's atrocious. I should look into that.
Yeah, but that's
His
the thing. Everyone at the beginning was limiting it only to letters and
Mhm.
reading, but again, it's a processing issue because, and they have the MRIs to prove it. When you're dyslexic, you process on the right side. Well, normally you're supposed to process on the left.
Left, right.
So when you're dyslexic, you see it on the right, it has to go to the left. That's why it takes a long time. You process it and then it comes back.
Okay, that makes
Look
sense.
at this. John is learning some stuff on today. But we're gonna move on.
That's what I was about to say. It's not about me. Let's go. We can talk offline if you need some more information.
We can come back to the question because we do have a question in the comments, but we definitely want to get through the interview and before we go into questions with the audience. So John, you may have said this early on in the conversation, why you have not been comfortable with wanting to tell your story until now. I think you kind of discussed that already, that you just felt like now was a time for you to be able to come out to express yourself because of your position and all that you come through. I think that's what you had said.
Yeah, for the most part. And since I work in entertainment, as I grow and learn more of my profession, I learned that more people in this world are dyslexic than any, like Denzel Washington or I think Will Smith as well, and some other people. I'm like, this makes a lot of people. You just never know. I'm like, well, then I guess I gotta start to tell. I'll just never really spoke out. I feel like people would judge you on that before they get to know you.
Yeah.
And they always call it a learning disability. I'm like, I'm not disabled. I always look like, don't say that to me. I'm like, I'm not disabled. Everything on me moves just fine. You know what I mean? But I feel like when people hear that, that's where their mind goes to, and then they look at you like they treat you as such. I feel like I have to prove something first, and then I'll let you know.
Yeah. So, okay. So you found yourself detached from wanting to go to school due to not feeling comfortable in the environment because of your learning difference. Why did you feel the way that you did back then?
I mean, I ain't mind going to school. I just didn't want to do school when I was in school. It's like we can go, but I ain't trying to read nothing.
Okay.
They used to have the kids stand up and take turns reading. I'm like, don't call on me. Don't call them. Can we have recess now?
Right. I'm in agreement. I can say that, I can side with you on that. I didn't mind going to school, but when it came to the curriculum and I had to read something or you had me to write a paragraph or do something, I was not the girl for that. I'm like, no, like you say, recess, let's go to PE. Let me do drill team. Let me do something that I can put my hands on, workshop. So I get it. I was there. I was definitely there. So
yeah.
Like with me, like with math, like I said, I don't think I have a problem with math, but math is something I always able, even if I was bad at the particular thing being learned, I always was able to figure it out one way or another. Even if I had a little tutoring, I was always like when it came to like reading and things like that, I'm like, this is gonna take long. I always have to find a shortcut to get around it. Just so like, all right. That's when I learned that some of these books got the answers in the back. I'm like, okay. You have to figure it out real quick.
Yes. I'm pretty sure Dr. Ray is laughing because her sons, but go ahead, Dr. Ray. You have to
I totally get it because my son, math was his strongest subject. And I just didn't get it. I was like, how can you get the answer and you have a hard time with reading? How you read the problem to get the answer? But my issue my concern with him, especially when he got older, was he could look at the problem and give you the correct answer. He may not have been able to give you step by step of what he did, but he can give you the correct answer. So trust me, I totally get it. Yeah, I told him he was GT in kinesthetics. he was. I mean, he went on to play college ball. Matter of fact, he graduated from Baylor next Friday with his master's of theology. So praise God. It is not a limitation, and that's why I always say I do my best to have the kids to become the best version of who they wanted to be. But I did know that sports was the only reason why he stayed in school. Okay. So we always had that carrot. We always had that carrot. So yeah.
Dr. Ray, it's on you.
Oh, it's on me. Okay. As your mother was a special education teacher during your school years, how did she assist you to make sure that you were provided the accommodations that you needed in order to be successful?
Well, early on, before she even found out I was dyslexic, she was just a teacher, like a teacher raising a son, which means she was extra annoying. Like we always had to write our papers first by hand. Then she'd go mark it up, give it back, but like, all right, go rewrite this. I'm like, the whole thing over and over again. I'm like, just before you have to type it up, you have to write everything by hand. I used to get mad, red marks on my papers before I even went to school. Like, because when I was old, I ran into one of my old classmates. She's like, I know you. You always used to come to class. You always used to hand in your homework. I'm like, yeah, my mother wouldn't allow anything other than that. She loved me. So, like, you know, like, I had to hand in my homework on time, all the time. Like, I'm probably one of the few people that actually went to public school in New York that did their homework. So, but when she found out I was dyslexic, and I guess that she worked in special education or whatever the case may be, or she knew people that could recommend certain things, she found us different programs or after schools and tutoring programs to help us navigate through the problem. And that at the point where she took us out of public school and switched us over to private school. So that way we weren't in such big classrooms.
Yeah.
You know, so we was in like smaller classrooms, got more attention. You know, they knew I was dyslexic, so they had like special things. You get like more time on tests.
Right, the accommodations.
The accommodations and everything like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if I was in public school, they would just throw me in special ed. Be like, all right, he's slower. He's slower than everybody else. Throwing special ed.
It is listed under special ed. It is listed under special ed. But the accommodations, that if the ability does not mean that you need to be in the resource or the modification classes, because mine was in special ed, but he was taking AP classes.
Right.
So that's the one thing that we're working on with the stigma. You have to have, it is part of special education, just like GT is part of special education. But in order to get those accommodations in college and other settings, you have to have that IEP from being in special education.
That because it's funny, because when I was in public school at first, I was in, you know, general population, the general admitted area. Then I went to the private school, and then I had to go from private school back to public school. And I was like halfway through high school, and they started me off in special ed in the public school. And then my teacher was like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "What you mean?" She's like, "You don't belong here. You can belong in the regular gen with everybody else."
Right. But
and I'm like, "Well, I'm cool right here." She's like, "No, John, you're just being lazy. You don't want to go." You're like, "You're doing well here. You don't have to be here." I'm like, "But I'm passing, so who cares?" Like we're okay. We're okay. So they ended up switching me out in there, and then I think they almost threw me in AP something this and third too.
But they should have, and just give you the accommodations.
You're right.
While being in those classes.
Yeah. So we figured it out. When I went to college, though, I made sure I got all the accommodations that were needed.
That's it. And that's all. It's just to level the playing field. That's all it's supposed to do. Level the playing field.
But you learn a lot when you have to figure out ways around it.
Yes.
That's why I always tell people, like, all right, you know one way to get somewhere. I know about 3 other ways.
But you know what? That's called coping.
Yeah.
That's just coping. And there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
Did you?
I'm gonna bring that question up.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
And
gonna
it
pop that
says
question up.
if,
There you go, Dr. Ray.
okay, it says if one parent have it and the other does not, does that mean I'm a carrier? First of all, they're saying that it is carried on the 23rd pair of chromosome, which is the sex chromosome, and it's on the X chromosome, which means if a male has it, the mother's the one that passed it to them. So, and if one male child and another male child, if both of them have it, then it's on the X chromosome. So that's why, because the mom is the one that gives the male the X chromosome. The dad is the one who gives the female the other X chromosome. And so in order for a female to have it, it has to be on both, which means dad must have it and mom could have it or be a carrier. So it just depends on the situation genetically.
I'm gonna go look into that because my father been getting slack for years. We gonna see.
He what?
He been getting slack for years. She swear it was him.
But he's not the one that gave you the X chromosome. So
nope, it was mama. She turning her head right now. She right here.
Sorry, mommy. I'm sorry. I should have kept my mouth shut. I didn't know she was doing
that. I'm sorry about that too. I was trying to
look. I'm sorry, mommy.
From, and no one told me where it's coming from.
Yeah.
No one told me. I'm trying to figure out, was it on my daddy's side or my mommy's side? But no one knows.
No one knows, especially with a female. It's very hard to determine if they are a carrier or if they have it, or if it's on both chromosomes. And like I say, nowadays they're saying it's not only genetic. Genetics is just one way, but
right.
You know, back in the day, they were saying that was the only way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's before the whole spectrum had that they have now. It's a lot. It's I mean, I love talking about this. So, but again, let's go.
All right. So okay. So John, do your mom have anything she want to say before we move on? I mean, because look, she injected herself into your interview.
She always injects herself somewhere.
I know,
so I
Mom.
told her she had to be quiet if she's gonna sit here.
Hey, that's the mommy card right there.
You have anything you would like to say?
She can jump on
just
camera.
Tell her, come on over. Come on in the room. She already come on in the room, Mama. Scoot on over, Mama. Come on in the room.
Hi, ladies.
Hello.
How are you, ladies?
We're doing good. So I am Keita A. Pratt. This is Dr. Ray. She's in education. So yeah, ask your questions away. And we heard that you are a formal educator as well. So that's awesome.
Yeah, fix it.
So yeah, ask your questions. Oh yeah, scoot into the camera a little more.
Well, to be honest with you, my oldest son was the first one that got me into researching dyslexia. He is now 37?
36.
36, okay. When he was younger, he was very smart in preschool, on top of his game, but he did not really speak sentences. But if he was in preschool and he was given something to recite, he would learn it and he was good at it. I realized when he got into second grade, in fact, when he took the exam to go to public school, the assistant principal said to me, he was the best one that came in today. Okay. After he was in the first grade, then I know he started having problems. Okay. Instead of being on top with all the A students that he went to school with, he started slackening back. So the assistant principal spoke to me about that. So I decided to take him from that school. No, I liked the school because it was the top school. I liked the school, but the following year, the group that the teacher had, they were not behaving. Their behavior was out of poor. There were lots of fight. And that's the class he was put into. So I decided to take him out of that school and put him into another program on this side of where we live, because we have different schools area, and you know which is the better schools in Brooklyn or New York. You know who, when you're in education, you speak to people, you get information. So he went to a school that when he got there, they put him in the second, they had him repeated the second grade. Okay. But the problem was the program they were using for reading. The program they were using at that time was not a program that Jeffrey could have learned from. It was the open court. And a child that's dyslexic cannot learn from the open court program. So now I am learning something I didn't know before either as an educator. Okay. So so he repeated that year, second grade, and I took him from that school and I brought him where I was at my school. So that when he went to school, I had my friends, the classroom that he went into, my friends could watch him and give me information about what they saw or what they could give me information so I could feed it and know how to work with him. Okay, he was supposed to be tested. So God is so good. I went to the district office to get him tested, and I ran into someone I did not know, and she says, "Listen, I have a friend that has the same problem your son has. So what you need to do is to take him to like Sony and have him tested thoroughly. Not the Board of Education. The Board of Education does not have the instrument to test him and get a good report." So I said, fine. I took him to SUNY. I had all of his tests done, the psychological, everything, because I'm trying to stay away from the IEP process, okay? Because like they say, they label you as special needs. Okay. So after I went through all of that, I let him stay with me until he got into 6th grade. So I was not really having problems. His problem was that he was sleeping in school, at least he said. But in terms of what he was doing in school, he was fine. Okay. My most concern was Jeffrey because Jeffrey was labeled as dyslexic. Cy is labeled as borderline dyslexia. So it's a big, big difference. Okay. Okay. After I did that and got all the testing done, my game was to get him in a school that focused on dyslexic children because Board of Ed had no program for dyslexic children. When it was time for junior high school, I had to go to every junior high school that I knew in District 17 and speak to the teachers, find out what did they know about dyslexic children, how would they approach teaching the child, even if you had 13 or 15 in the classroom. And no one knew. Their problem was the classroom is too big and I don't have the time. So when it was time for me to go back to the district office in my group meeting, because you have to do that if you're fighting a court case, if you want something to be done. I went and I just presented my case. I said my son has dyslexia, and therefore there's no program in the Board of Ed public school to cater to him. So therefore, I would like what is called a Nicholson letter at that time. And with the Nicholson letter, you're able to take him from Board of Education schools, put him in a private school where the Board of Ed has to pay X amount of dollars for the child education, and you will compensate the difference. So that's what I did. Because Jeffrey went to Winston Preparatory School. With Cy, what I did with him, since his program was different and his academics were different, I put him in Bay Ridge Prep. Bay Ridge Prep is a private school that was started in Brooklyn by a group of teachers. I forgot what school they were coming from. However, they had a program that was geared for Cy to work in. Okay. So with the Nicholson letter, I was able to get a Nicholson letter, which I had to fight hard for. Okay. And it was no joke. I really fought for that letter because if I didn't fight for that letter, he would not have gotten the school that he got into, Bay Ridge Prep, and Jeffrey would not have gotten into Winston Preparatory School. And those schools are very good schools. They focus on the child, especially for Jeffrey. At his school in the morning, he had to be there like 7:30. And he has one focused teacher that only worked on his disability, his reading area, because they had all his problems. And like if he was like 9, he was reading on a say 2nd grade level. They focused on what he needed, and they used the I'm trying to remember the program that they use. So long ago now. It's like the old Merrill Lynch. I don't know if you know the old Merrill Lynch reading material, or even in the West Indies, we had this cat, sat, bat, that little book that everyone learned from.
Well, see,
But
Dr. Ray, because y'all are in New York, right?
Yeah,
yes,
Brooklyn.
Okay, so like in Texas, I know when Dr. Ray comes back onto the line, I think some of the how their testing is and some of the information that you are providing, I think it's a tad bit different from Texas. I'm not really sure, but I know like she can probably give clarification on that. But when she jumped back onto the line,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, she thinks she's slick. She tricked me into going to that school.
I wasn't tricking him.
She
I
tricked
was
me.
making sure.
She said, "Well, you like this place?" I'm like, "Yeah, we were shopping for schools for Jeffrey." She said, "You like this
Yeah,
place?" I'm like, "That's nice. I think you
yeah,
like it here." Next thing I know, it's for me, apparently.
yeah. So
Well,
it's
what I realized that the school that Jeffrey was going in was more a school restricted to him, tailored for his needs, and this school would have been perfect for him. Okay, and not only that, it was a small classroom. The teachers knew what they were doing, and he needed the help. Okay,
yeah,
but what the
yeah.
board of ed did, they took X amount of teachers, and now the Autumn Gilliam program. That's what I want to say. The
Ah,
Autumn Gilliam reading program. Okay, that's the program that works. And
mhm,
there's another side step from that one. I can't think of the other one. But when Jeffrey went to school, this is the program that worked for him. You see,
mhm.
not the other program. It's not everyone can learn the same way. And when you are dyslexic, or any person,
Mhm.
learn more than one way.
Yeah.
Okay, the Orton Gillian program worked for him, and if
Mhm.
even if he was in the board of education, he would have probably got the Merrill Lynch, the old-fashioned way of teaching children how to read. But you
Mhm.
really have
Mhm.
to break down and know
Yeah.
syllables and understand how you would mimic certain things and get the patterns going.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nowadays, I don't know what they're doing in board of education. I really can't tell you. Okay, but
Yeah.
they had us taking
Right.
the program,
Right.
the Orson Gillian program on
Mhm.
Saturdays. I would have to go. I fought hard to get in that program. After 1 year, they cut it.
Mhm.
The program was cut. Okay, we had a teacher from St. John University. She would come every Saturday morning at a junior high school. It was like 13, about 20 of us teachers.
Mhm.
Okay, and we were there to learn the program to help our children in the classroom. Then the
Mhm.
program was cut. And this is
Wow.
what happens in the Board of Ed. I don't know what's going on now,
Right.
but
Right.
you have a
Well.
lot of children who are out there who are dyslexic and probably are getting help or aren't getting the help.
Right.
Okay, and their
Right.
parents don't know what to do. It's just
Right.
so happened my principal had me up there speaking up for all these kids. When the parents
Yeah.
came up, let them do this, let them do
Right.
this. Show them, teach them what to do. Because it's a long process, and they will give you a hard time
Yeah.
when you're
Well.
fighting for your child,
Right. Well. Thank you
especially
so
when
much.
you're a teacher.
Yeah. Well, we thank you so much for sharing the journey and the story. I hear you calling him Cy, or because
It's a
we know
nickname.
we
It's
know him
John.
as
Yep.
John.
Yes,
So yeah, but we thank you so much. I think my co-host is logging back on. She has some technical difficulties, but I'm gonna go ahead and move forward into the interview so that
okay,
we don't have to keep him long. But we definitely appreciate you bringing your perspective to the platform on today to encourage other parents to know that they need to get involved and become active with their dyslexic
absolutely.
children. Because for myself, I'm dyslexic and I was in special
Okay.
education from third grade up until my senior year in high school. So I
Mm,
had to attend those classes. And these days we want to break the stigma of the conversation. So that's why myself and my co-host that's why myself and my co-host Dr. Ray, we do what we do today
I hear
um
you.
so that we can continue to break the stigma. But I'm gonna let Dr. Ray kind of go over like the Texas board of
Right.
how they
Education.
how they do Dyslexic here, as far as the information they provide, the resources they have available in Texas. Because I know you said a lot regarding the different resources and the things in New York, but as we know, there are two different states, so they're, they operate a little different. So I'm gonna let Dr. Ray chime in, and once she chime in, then we'll just go ahead and move back into interviewing John, aka Sai.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, what am I speaking on? I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. My computer just like shut down.
No,
I was letting mama take it out. Just
right.
Take it
you're
over.
You're speaking on the Orkin Gillian project
Yes, the
that she
Gillian
was talking about, and you're speaking on what was the other it was another program. What was the weekend program?
I was saying the Merrill Lynch, the old-fashioned reading program.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started in public school, the old Merrill Lynch program was one of the best programs that would have helped the early child become better acquainted with the vocabulary, with the phonics, etc., etc., etc. Those programs, they were started, and then next thing you know, something else come in. They never let the program weigh itself out to see what the end would have been.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Orton Gillian, like I was saying, they had me in the Orton Gillian program, which I fought hard for, because I knew that our teachers needed that program to help our children in special ed.
Okay.
Well, one thing that we have to realize is that as time has moved, the research and the different approaches have changed. And so my son is just 28, and so when he was in school, and I did basically the same thing you did. I was just the principal of the school. You see what I'm saying? So I was able to pick. So he didn't go to private school, but
Well, I sued the board of ed. I didn't. Because another friend of mine said to me, Arla, I am broke. He said, this was a friend who introduced me to another friend who had a child that had dyslexia. And he said, let me tell you, I am broke with all the money I spend to help my daughter. Okay? And then when I went to church, I was speaking to other parents who had children who were dyslexic. And it's funny, there was one of them was going to Winston Preparatory School where my son was going. So we had some long conversation about that. Trust me, But you have to know. You have to know,
and that's the thing. It has changed and evolved as time go on. Because, like I say, the stuff about it being neurological as well as genetic. Just been in the last 10 years that it's come out that way. So time has changed and improved the process. Not saying that we got it right, because as the kids evolve, we have to evolve as the education system to meet their needs. Because the way that I taught when I first started teaching is totally different from the way we have to teach and approach the kids today. So the different programs are very important that we just research and find the ones that is the best fit for not only the student, but your campus.
Totally.
Did I answer your questions? Did I touch on everything I was supposed to?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Do I have the next question, or do you have it?
I think I have the next question. Okay. So we thank your mom for joining the platform for the brief moment she did. We appreciate it.
Brief.
So
that's
thank
cute.
you.
Okay, I'm so glad to be here. So I am leaving, ladies.
All right, no problem.
Take it easy. You can talk anytime, all right? Just give me a call.
No worries. No worries.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good one.
You just like, boy, your face look just like my son's.
Hey, this is in real time. This is we can't you cannot rehearse these things, okay? So going into my next question, John. You say you tapped into your creative abilities once you started private school. You began to allow your invisible abilities to work in your favor. What triggered your creativity, your your creative ability to blossom once you started private school?
I don't know. I guess less of a distraction. The atmosphere. It was a culture shock at first, so I had to figure out, you know what I mean, how to stay in my own lane. Cause I'm on the other side of Brooklyn, like Crown Heights, between Bed-Stuy, around Bed-Stuy area, predominantly black. And then I went to an all-white school, you know what I mean, which is weird to me. So at first it was a culture shock, and then, all right, these kids aren't like me, so how do I just, I don't know, entertain myself at that point. And my friend who I met over there, he was from like Flatbush, was another black area, so we basically was on the same boat. He used to make these mixtapes, and I was used to, I was a kid, so I was broke, so I didn't really buy CDs like that unless my mother would buy it for me. So when he started making the mixtapes, I would help him with the mixtapes, and that got me into a deeper love of music. And at that point, I'm like, all right, watching the videos and this, then, and third. I'm like, I gotta get myself. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna get myself deeper into this, that, and not to mention my mother and my brother are both artists, like actual artists, painting, drawings, and all other things like that. Like my mother got a degree in art therapy as well. So, when it came to like certain things, when it comes to music, like album covers were always a big thing for me. The booklet was always a big thing. Like the whole process just kind of took me to keep me, I don't know.
Yeah, that was your
Staying
niche.
where I was at.
That was your niche.
That was my niche. That was what I wanted to focus on.
Right.
That's what I was good at. And like, shoot, half the people that was in the industry when I got there, I even had more than half, barely had high school diplomas. So I'm like, oh, I don't even need to go to school for this.
That's funny.
Wow.
Well, I think the next question, I think you and Dr. Ray kind of already talked about.
Yeah.
You said about, your handwriting was unrecognizable. So I think y'all kind of already talked about that, that it wasn't dysgraphia. I'm not sure. Dr. Ray, you said dysgraphia and what was the other one? Okay.
Dyscalcular.
Okay. So
yeah, my handwriting is disgusting, but I don't think it's that. I don't know. Could be, but it sucks.
Could be.
Could be.
All right. So that we just go to the next one. So say you self-taught yourself with your hand gestures on creating the letter B and the letter D, and you learn your left and right hand by playing PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I learned B and D more so from one of the programs my mother had me in. So the lady said, "How you spell bed?" I'm like, BED. She like, spell it out with your hands, right? So if you see me going like this, I'm not throwing up gang signs. I'm just really just trying to remember which side the B is on. It's like, so bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, B, D, the other way. So that always stuck with me every time. I get a little bit confused. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know it now. Like, but sometimes you get lost when you're moving real fast. I'm like, wait a minute, okay. And I go, and I'm really spelling out bed with my hands, so that way I know which way is B and which way is D. And when it comes to like left and right, I was, when you're doing certain things, like you're playing a basketball game or football game, you gotta know which way the ball is throwing, which one throws the ball, which one tackles. So since they're playing like Grand Theft Auto or Madden, where I really learned my left and right from video games. Wow. And then once I really got it down pat, I got my first tattoo on my right hand. So that way, and I kind of always told myself like I wanted a sleeve. So I would never going to touch my right arm, always just my left arm. So that way my right hand is always the one with my first tattoo.
Awesome. Coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Coping mechanisms. Awesome. So
I
heard one of
my body tatted up. You know why? I can't touch the other side.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't Ethan have tattoos, Dr. Ray, your son?
Yes, yeah. He does. Evan, not Ethan. Evan. Yes, he has a tattoo, but his is different. He used his as his testimony because he was going through depression, and he used that as his testimony to speak to it. So I was about to say, one of my teachers, how she tell her kids, her kindergarten kids, to remember the difference between the B and the D. One has a belly and the other one have a butt.
That could work too.
I was like, oh, so the B has a belly. But anyway, so yeah, so you just have to do it. So I love the way you came up with your coping mechanisms. Did you just develop them on your own? I know the first one you say someone taught you that
Somebody
one.
taught me, right.
I'm gonna take that one tomorrow to our PLC. I'm asking, do y'all know how to do this? That's a good one. I like the B and the D. But did the school, when they gave you your accommodations, did they give you any coping mechanisms? Did they teach you any coping mechanisms? Or did you find all of your on your own?
I guess it depends on which school we're talking about. Like I said, the first one when it came to bed, I learned like in an after school program.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, they gave me accommodations. I won't say they really necessarily gave me coping mechanisms, for real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like here in Texas, if you diagnose, then for the first 2 or 3 years, depending on your progress, they pull you out for the dyslexia thing, and they teach you coping mechanisms. So my son was lucky because the year that he was being pulled, he was the only one in the whole school. So it was just him and that one teacher.
Oh wow.
And so he was able to blossom. So I think that was one thing that he really and truly learned from. But I also was the dyslexia teacher at a school, and so the coping mechanisms that you give, and I would do the same thing with my pre-K kids that I would do with an 8th grader. And the main thing is phonics. That was the first thing, making sure that they are able to break the words down and stuff.
Well, I went to the private school. They did that. They gave me that. Show me how to break the words down with the phonics. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, ma'am.
All right, we are moving right along. So, John, in the current industry you work in, you read contracts all day. How
Yeah.
do you keep the integrity in your business affairs due to not always being able to physically comprehend some of the paperwork and terminology and details you have to review? And what systems do you have in place to be sure that the contracts you are reviewing are correct?
One, like I always have something that I went through in very deep detail with either me or my lawyer or something like that as a template. So I know what a basic contract is. So, and I learned it and I studied it. So I know what a basic contract looks like. So if I send you a basic contract and things have to get altered, all right, I changed this, I changed that. I sit with it, I read it, or something sent to me, like a contract, I sit with it and I read it. And anything I don't understand, I send to the paralegal. So I have her go over it with me, or her go over. I sent to her, she sent me, all right. But she's not in entertainment. So you're like, all right, I understand this, understand that, understand this. What don't you understand about this? And we kind of both go through it. So I tell her, all right, this makes sense in the entertainment field. It's supposed to be this, that, and the third from my knowledge. And she tells me, she helps break things down, like far as comprehension for things I don't understand. You know, and it's good to have somebody by you that you can trust. That's the biggest thing. Find somebody around you that you can trust. So, like, I always take her word for last word. Like, even if I have an entertainment lawyer go over something, I still go back over it with her. Be like, oh, well, they wrote this, that, and third. Legally, did that make sense? She's like, yeah, but you should have them looking at this. You know, and that's always worked in my favor. You know, having somebody you can trust, somebody that but like another thing is I don't let nobody rush me on nothing.
Right.
I take my time with everything, you know, and this is a fast-paced industry. So sometimes if it needs attention, I might just have to be up later. like 1:30 to 3 in the morning, just reading through a contract and studying it and going over it and going over it again. And making sure I get to her at an appropriate time so that we can get it back to this person at an appropriate time. But at the end of the day, you're not going to rush me just to sign something.
Okay. Well, how do you measure your success? And then what do you do in your community to help others?
Well, when it comes to measuring my success, I just look at my evolution, really. Like this year's been a very good year for me. I made a lot of business deals, a lot of ones that is pending for the top of the year. And how I transition into things. Like before, when I started out, I was an intern, then I was an assistant, then I was a coordinator. Now I'm at the point where I'm talking about equity more than anything else. Equity on top of like a substantial paycheck or something, you know. So my growth is why I really take a look at my success. Like, if I, as community-wise, I just kind of, me speaking about it more is how I tend to getting more involved. You know, especially when I got a lot of things moving around. I don't really have time. Me taking time out to do things like this or speaking or trying to find other outreach outlets to, you know, encourage people, really, is how I intend on moving forward.
Awesome.
Wow. I mean, this was amazing. And we are record timing. Like, we are almost done with the podcast. See, and we was blessed with your mom and everything, and we still made record time. See, look I'm gonna use my co-host saying, look at God. Look.
All right. Look, you want to call her long-winded too, you can do that. But I'm gonna let you rock, because that's how I take her. She could talk.
Your mama gonna get you. This is live. But yeah. So the final and last question to close out the podcast. We'd like to ask, what words of encouragement would you tell another dyslexic like yourself who struggles with telling their story because of the stigma that comes with dyslexia? What words would you tell them to help them to step out and tell their story?
Well, like I said before, everybody likes to look at it as a disability. I never really looked at it at times as that. At times, I actually think of it as an advantage because like I said, some people, they go and they get something right away and they run with it, and you only get one answer. I sit there and I really study things to get 2 or 3 answers. Because like let's say you're driving and the road's blocked off, now you're panicked. I'm never gonna be panicked because I know another route. You know, I always tell people don't look at it like a disability, but more like a superpower that nobody else has. You know, and just move forward comfortably in yourself. Like, I never let this make me feel like it's gonna stop me from getting to where I want to be. If anything, because I always had to work harder than the next person, I take that through life, and I'm like, all right, this person knows this, but I can always out hustle them. Like, I always had to work harder my whole life just to be average. So if I could add a little more, I can be way above average.
Well, do you want to share anything about your platform and what you do with your podcast?
I mean, I do a lot of different things. One, I do artist relations at On the Radar Radio, where I bring up artists for freestyles and interviews. So like emerging artists and big artists as well. And right now I'm working on the Radar mixtape with Gabe P. We're going on tour at the top of the year. I manage 3 artists right now and a producer. I have my podcast Stoop Kids. It's on all DSPs and SoundCloud. And I have my live entertainment platform, Live Affair, LYVE Affair. You can follow it on Instagram. The app is coming out soon. And it's just interactive live streaming platform.
All right. So look, when I come to New York, then I'm gonna have to find wherever your artists are, so because I love live music.
Oh, they're everywhere. Let me know. I got them from Philly to New York to Buffalo.
Okay, long as it don't have snow.
long as they don't have snow. Did you say that?
Yes, ma'am. I'm a true Texan. I have to be on this side of the Mason-Dixon line.
Oh Lord. So let's look at some of these comments real quick so we can give John his props on today. I mean, we had a lot of comments today. They were, we have a comment saying, "Oh wow, about the conversation your mother was having earlier. We interesting, good information Dr. Ray and your mother was sharing." We also have another comment said, "Wow, this is awesome." We have another comment saying, "So true." This was when your mother was talking about some of the things that she had to do far as assist you to make sure you had the accommodations you need. I mean, like, this has been such a amazing and powerful podcast on today. We have another comment says, "I love that hashtag superpower." I think that's what you said towards your end, and that's transparent minds that said that. And then you have one more good comment, and it is saying that's good. That's good. So yeah, I mean, powerful podcast on tonight. I mean, you have broken the stigma of dyslexia with everything that you are doing, what you continue to do in your communities, with the jobs that you have, the people, the resources that you have. You are resourceful. We thank you for the opportunity to be able to host you on today. We have one more comment that just came in. It says, "Keep up the good work." This is Pastor Saw McCarthy out of Cypress, Texas. So yeah, I mean, amazing conversation on tonight. You really encourage me as a dyslexic to keep pushing forward and not allow my limitations to define me. And sometimes as a dyslexic, I could get agitated, frustrated, and want to throw my hands up because of the time strength it takes sometimes to get one thing done. But tonight you have literally encouraged me, and you have really inspired me to keep pushing and keep moving. So I want to thank you on today, John Nurse, for that. So thank you so much, Dr. Ray. And then we'll close out if she have any last things she want to say with you, and then we'll close out our segment on tonight if she have anything. You on mute, Dr. Ray? Dr. Ray, you on mute?
I'm always on mute today. I'm not on it today. But anyway, just thank your mom for the perseverance that she had to continue to fight the system in order to get you and your brother the help and the assistance that you need in the right place, not just any place, because she wasn't satisfied with just any place. It had to be the right place. But also to you for being you were able to adapt to that new environment. Even though none of those kids looked like you, you found your niche and you were able to succeed. So kudos to you on that, and the way you're still using that to pave the way through your entertainment business and everything that you're doing. Just keep on doing what you're doing. I am so proud to have met you through this podcast. Hopefully one day when you light your name all in lights, we can replay this.
I hope
replay
so.
this when it's all in lights and everything. But you know what? Just stay strong and continue using your superpower for the good.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me, for sure. It's been a pleasure talking to you both.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Do you have anything else before we go ahead and do our segment before we close out? Anything else?
No, my Instagram is right there. If anybody wants to follow me, please feel free to reach out. I'm on there a lot, unfortunately. I wish I could take a break, but given my job, I can't. But I'm always here to answer anybody's questions.
Awesome. We, like Dr. Ray said, we may end up with a part two, a part two from John Nurse on everything he's doing and everything he's going to do. So exciting. So pretty much, again, we want to thank our guests on today, John Nurse, for joining us, overcoming dyslexia and other stigmas. This podcast is here to have real tough, hard conversations to bring to light the things that others don't want to talk about. So we encourage you to join us every first and third Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am one of your co-hosts, Kita A. Pratt. I am a dyslexic. I am here to encourage and motivate you and inspire you to get to your greater good. I am here to normalize your process to get you from good to great to unlocking your greatness. I thank you for joining us on this evening. I look forward to having more conversations like this. And if you want to join our platform to tell your story, please do not hesitate to reach out to myself, Kita A. Pratt, or Dr. Ray on any one of our platforms, or you can either drop it in the comment section on our live episodes, and we'll be sure to get back to you. So that's all I have. I pass it over to my co-host as we close it out on this evening. Thank you all for joining.
It has been an awesome time just listening and being a part of this. We also just want to thank everyone who has taken the time out of their day to spend it with us to hear this information. Our goal is to provide the community with the information that they need in order to overcome dyslexia and other stigmas. We're here to help you or whoever become the best version of themselves. We also would love to have you on our platform. So please reach out to us. We're here to give you information and resources that we have and that we know. And we'll even do the research if you give us some time and some information so we can help you. Again, we thank you for joining with us. And as we come to the end of this year, can you believe this year, we want to thank everyone who has been a constant follower of our podcast. We're doing our best to improve in order to make sure that the information that we're giving to you is accurate and informative. So until next time, be blessed and a blessing. My name is Dr. Ray, and I'm here to tell you about our podcast, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas. We are here to have the tough and difficult conversation about being labeled special ed or have some form of a disability. My name again is Dr. Raylyn White.
And I am Kita A. Pratt. Be sure to tune in to us every first and third Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time.
We can be found on Clubhouse as of now, but please stay tuned to our social media pages, Overcoming Dyslexia and Other Stigmas.
Heritage Academy in San Antonio is now open for student registration. Our mission at Heritage Academy is to not only prepare students to succeed at college, but to instill values and knowledge, to educate the whole person, and to balance intellectual development with purposeful moral guidance. Smaller classes, personal attention, focusing on teaching life values. We're eager to welcome new students this fall. Register your student today at heritageacademy.net.
Hello. Hey. So they